some erudite observation. It's 702-221-7283, and we'd love to have you in.
Good morning.
It is a good morning.
Good morning. It's nice to see you. Let's talk a little bit. By the way, everybody, happy Independence Day weekend. This is the first time in a long time that Independence Day was 3 days long, but I think everybody's taking advantage of that. I know I am.
I'm not sure if it was Independence Day weekend or World Cup weekend. It was
Wimbledon
fun.
weekend.
Wimbledon weekend
too. Yeah, Roger and Novak are duking it out right now. We're not seeing that, but we've got it recorded.
Yes.
We can watch it later.
Yes.
And we also want to introduce Ed Bevilacqua. How'd I do?
Great. Perfect.
Yeah, it takes a little
just like
bit.
you're Italian.
Takes a
just
minute
like you're
for
an
me
Italian.
to get my tongue wrapped around that, but once I get it, I'm good. And whom you cannot see, Sherry Kennedy is also here with us. They are from Larson Training Centers, and we will be talking to them at length, at least to Ed, because Sherry says she's not talking. We will be talking to him at length shortly, but let's get a couple of things out of the way. Besides happy Independence weekend, and I hope everyone was safe and sane, and our neighbors were not necessarily. They were still shooting firecrackers at 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday night, Saturday morning, which did not make me happy. There should be a law, but that's a whole other. Well, I think that having those things in the middle of the city is just ridiculous, but that's a whole other issue. And the great sports on this weekend, pretty terrific. But other things coming up for the Salvation Army, in order to continue to do what we do, we have a lot of things going on. The court system with the people down at the Justice Courts for Clark County are doing an ongoing thing all summer long where employees can pay $10 a week and wear jeans every day. And they're doing that for 10 weeks. The first 2 weeks we made $1,400 to buy water.
Wow.
From those employees wanting to wear blue jeans for the summer.
In court.
In court. Well, yeah, the employees of the court system. So it's probably more the people who are in the offices and stuff like that. It's probably not bailiffs. They're probably in uniform. Although judges might have jeans under their
robes.
They might. Yeah, they might. So that was kind of cool that and it's so funny because the gal that organized it, whose name, of course, completely escapes me, but Philip Holland, our wonderful social services director, knows her. He knows everybody. And she dresses like she's just stepping out of W or Vogue or something. And so she needs to she hates to wear jeans, and she doesn't like her employees to wear jeans, but she made this possible so everybody can wear jeans if they want to because she liked the cause so well. So we're very excited about that. No telling how much money we'll have at the end of the 10 weeks.
Now that money will allow us to purchase how much water?
Well, the first week we got $800, and we work with 3 Square on the water, and we can get the pallets of half-liter bottles, which is about 60 cases. We can get those for about $100 from 3 Square. We can get the full-liter bottles, which we're buying also because we freeze those, give them out so people can put them in their backpacks as they walk around town, and it'll keep them cool. And then as it melts, then they can drink it. And we get those for $75. We figured the first $800 bought us about 11 pallets of water when we mix it up. So $1,400, we're now looking at probably 18 or 20 pallets of water. It's just,
and we need lots of water.
We need lots of water. We're using about a half a pallet a day, I believe, through our Day Resource Center, which is where everyone comes off campus. You've been to the campus, so you know. The Day Resource Center, which is Building 33, is where our guests just come and hang out to get out of the elements in the winter, out of the cold, and in the summer out of the heat, and get water, get hydrated, and just kind of recuperate a little bit from being out on the street.
Get happy.
Get happy. A couple of other things coming up. We've got a great relationship with Sudden Impact Auto Body, which is down on Boulder Highway, and they are, along with Finley Acura in the Auto Mall down in Henderson, they are doing food drives for us for 2 weeks starting the 14th. So a week from tomorrow, those food drives will begin. They'll go on for 2 weeks, and they're collecting all kinds of non-perishable foodstuffs and baby products because we help mommies with little ones. So if you've got extra diapers, if your baby has grown out of their diapers and you've got a half a box of diapers, bring them in, because when we help a mommy, we usually give her a dozen diapers in a bag. We don't give her a whole box of 100 because that way some don't get. So we split them up, and so even a half box will work for us. Or, a partial that you open and then your baby grew into the next size, and you've got a bunch of 2s and now you've got a size 4 baby. So just, any of those things. Formula. We don't want open formula, but we can have open diapers. All kinds of baby food we need. But we also need all kinds of non-perishable foodstuffs, primarily good protein sources, peanut butter, canned stews and chilies that have meat in them, one-box meals like mac and cheese or pasta dishes. Those kinds of things go really well because they usually have some protein and the good carbs in the pasta. So those kinds of foods, and breakfast cereals, we're always short on breakfast cereals. So those kinds of things will be great. So 2 weeks of that with both of those organizations, Finley Acura, Sudden Impact Auto Body. You go right to their locations in the Valley Auto Mall and at 3595 Boulder Highway is where Sudden Impact is, and between Sahara and the freeway. Best way to describe that, I guess. Other things coming up in August, it's time for back to school already. We just got out of school, didn't we?
Yep.
Well, of course, your kids don't get out of school. They're big kids and they don't get out of school. They go all year round. But
6, 7, 6.
But the other kids
11.
Up through high school, they are out of school for the summer. And we have our back to school drive, which is called the SOS Drive, support our students, that we do in conjunction with Fox 5 every summer. And that will be the 6th, 7th, and 8th of August at one of the Cox Communication locations, NV Energy, just almost across the street from where we're located right here on Jones and Sahara. And the third day, the Friday, will be at Fox 5 in Henderson. And I love that one because it's on a big knoll of lush, soft green grass under the shade of a couple of big trees. The other two are usually on blacktop somewhere, so it's a little warm. But in August, all day.
So when you're out shopping today,
yeah,
even while you're sipping your coffee this morning, say, oh, and run to your kitchen where your little sheet is, and write on their school supplies, even if you don't have any kids. That way you can be ready on August
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Thank you.
And bring them to the closest location. That'll be perfect.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's coming up for us this summer. Way too early to talk about Christmas. Thank you very much. Although we'll be planning that starting in about 2 weeks. I've got meetings in the office to do Christmas already. But let's turn our attention now to our guests from Larson Training Centers.
All right, people out there, this is where the fun begins.
That's right. Now it's going to get to be exciting. By the way, Ed is streaming this on YouTube.
Correct.
And what's your YouTube channel?
Larson Training Centers.
Right into that.
Larson
right
Training Centers.
Larson Training Centers.
.com.
So if you want to see us while we talk,
Which is not necessary.
No, on a Sunday morning, not the prettiest thing in the whole wide world. Although we're both dressed.
Everybody looks great.
One of the great buffers of radio is, I don't know how Howard Stern, maybe because he's a potty mouth, but he's not very good looking.
No, he's
when he started
attractive.
doing his simulcasting, and we saw what he looked like.
It was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I want to introduce Ed Bevilacqua from Larson Training Centers. And before we focus on Larson, let's talk about you. So who are you and where'd you come from?
Well, I am from California. I was born in Oakland originally. Born in Oakland. Grew up in the Bay Area, Pleasanton, went to Santa Clara University, and I moved to Las Vegas in 1990 to go to law school. When I got here, I found out there was no law school.
Oh, it wasn't open yet. That's
correct.
Right.
So
2000 or so.
I moved back to San Diego, went to law school there, and ultimately moved back to Las Vegas 3 years ago. My family's been here since 1990. My parents and brothers have been here since 1990.
So you have a law degree.
Have a law degree, have an undergraduate degree from Santa Clara.
Did you pass the bar?
I took the bar one time, and I missed by 5 points.
And never went back?
I didn't go back. I didn't go to law school to be an attorney. I had seen a study. I was in business, had owned a business, and I saw a study, in the mid-'80s that said by the year 2025, there would be more attorneys in California than people.
Because they don't count as people.
So, so I decided you have to go to law school.
I was waiting for the symbol crash too.
So I decided to go to school because California was becoming very litigious, and I'm glad I went to law school. I think a law degree is a great graduate degree to have because there's so much more than contracts. You know, there's constitutional law, property law, family law. You have to learn all of that, and also it goes back in history to the beginning of law. So I have that. I've been in business, and the school has been around for 25 years. But before that, I want to say every time I talk to somebody from the Salvation Army, I am more amazed at how much stuff that you're doing. You know, the water drive, you know, all of this other stuff. It's amazing how you get so much stuff done. So
well, we can't give it away if we don't have it.
Yeah,
is the way I always look at it. So
well, and I think that shows your ability to do so much shows that a lot of people deep down care.
We can't do anything that we do without the support of the entire community.
And you're good at getting that support.
It's working.
Yeah. So
we can always use more. So you're listening. We can always use more help. We can always use more support.
You know, and that kind of transitions over into what is the school, how are we involved with the Salvation Army? And, you know, I think that the simple thing is, in this country, the greatest country in the world, we have some big problems. And I think the biggest problem that we have has to do with education. Mm-hmm. And in Las Vegas, everybody talks about the problem of educating children, youth education, how bad the state of Nevada is in terms of K through 12. But and you know, that might be true. We're not involved in that. We're involved in the other side, which is adults. And specifically, our school for 25 years has been educating adults who are typically over 40. And these are people that operate maybe at a third grade level. Mm-hmm. If you give them a proficiency test, they're at the third grade. They're street smart. They function in society. But if you give them math problems, reading problems, writing assignments, they just can't do it. And if you are homeless or semi-homeless, or you're at subsistence level, you know, food, clothing, and shelter are a daily challenge for you. If you're not educated, it's hard to get stable and meaningful employment. So a cycle starts of you're just constantly like on a treadmill. I need money for rent. I've got to do this. I have to do that. And Larson Training Centers was started 25 years ago by somebody who cared, named Dale Larson in California. His objective was to get it so that everybody could give tennis shoes to their kids. That was his thing, and they would have a pair of tennis shoes out at the school. And what he wanted was all families to be able to buy their kids tennis shoes.
So that's the Larson version of a chicken in every pot.
Yeah. And it's sort of ironic because now we're in the downtown project with Tony Hsieh, and that is Zappos.
Right.
So that's the largest shoe seller in the world. So I guess you can look backwards and connect the dots. But
who, by the way, donates 750 pairs of shoes every fall to our Souls for Souls campaign that we work with Dr. Watson, Troy Watson out of Henderson, and he comes up. He brings about 150 pairs of shoes, but last year Tony contributed 750 pair, and we do a big shoe giveaway around Thanksgiving time. So it all ties in.
Well, and you had one recently because
Yeah, that
half
was a
of half
smaller
of our
one.
students
missed
were not
school.
at school.
Oh, they were
their
there getting
shoes.
shoes?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So, so educating adults is where we are, and it's sort of like educating children is important, but it might take 15 years before there's a result, right? Start school when you're 5, and you get through high school when you're 18 or 19. That's a long-term investment. Educating adults is a short-term investment. Our school is 16 weeks, and we take people from about a 3rd grade level with very little typing skills, maybe 6 words per minute with 50% accuracy. That's not too good.
No.
Not knowing Microsoft Office, not knowing how to use the internet, and in 16 weeks, 35 hours a week, it's a very immersive program. We get them so that they are able to have stable and meaningful employment. And being in the downtown project, Tony Hsieh's downtown project, and all of the things that he's doing down there, and all the people that he has supporting the cause, our goal is to place our graduates into the businesses that he's opening up in the downtown area. And
So it's just a natural connection. So
it's a natural connection.
you work there, and the school is there. So as they come out of school, between everything he does and everyone he knows,
Exactly.
you have outlets for these students
Exactly.
when they're looking for work.
And so the type of people we're looking for, the type of people for the jobs that we place them in, and we're very grateful for organizations like the Salvation Army, especially the Salvation Army, because the big thing about going to an immersive school 35 hours a week for 16 weeks, you have to have stable food, clothing, and shelter. If you don't have it, we have some students that are off the street, and oftentimes they don't make it. The beauty about the Salvation Army is it's a very well-structured program, and the people who come to school are motivated to learn. This is the second chance.
Right.
It's for them it's
Or the
second
10th chance.
Well, yeah,
For some.
and we're happy about that, and we have other students from Shade Tree. We also have students, maybe a third of our students are from Casa Grande Prison. The state of Nevada is progressive about ending recidivism. They know that virtually everybody who goes to prison is going to get out, and if they're not prepared to have stable and meaningful employment, and people don't like to hire ex-fellows. Did you know that?
We know that.
Okay.
Do you work with Hope for Prisoners, by the way?
We do. Well, we're starting to.
Okay.
We have been pursuing them for 6 weeks,
At least.
going to all of their graduations, meeting with John
Have you met
Ponder.
with John? Okay.
Yes.
Many
Great
times
guy.
he's going to be at the school on this Thursday at 1 o'clock, and we want to have him on a YouTube hangout on air also. We were introduced to John by Magnolia Drew. Do you know her, Officer Drew from Metro?
Yes, I know Drew.
Yeah,
I
so
do.
she's fantastic.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and so she introduced us to John. She also introduced us to the courts, municipal court, the specialty courts, and now they are starting to sentence people to school.
Right.
Rather than
They were
us.
also, our GED program is hooked into all the specialty courts as well.
Okay, great.
That's another thing. You can't
Yeah.
graduate from here, from court, from your whatever you're dealing with,
Yeah.
until you get your GED.
Wow. Okay, so again, Nevada is a progressive state, and adult education works. And I think if you're sentenced to go to school, that's a great thing, because educating adults is something that we need to do. In fact, our school's sort of motto, slogan, mantra that we've adopted for 2014 is that society has an obligation to educate all of its people,
Not just its children.
not just the children.
Can we take a couple of minutes
Sure.
or more, if it takes more, and talk about the difference between educating children and educating
Okay.
an adult in a classroom situation?
Sure.
What different tactics you
Well,
have to use and those sorts of things.
Okay, so that's a great question, and it's really different. Adults and children are different. I have an 11-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old daughter, a 15-year-old daughter, 21-year-old son, 23-year-old daughter and a 25-year-old daughter. I have 6 kids so far. And,
So far.
well, you know, I wanted an heir and a spare.
Oh, you got it.
Well, I have
Times
the heir.
over.
I have the heir. And so my daughter, who is 11, is starting at Bob Miller this year in the 6th grade. And my challenge with her is everything, she's like a sponge. Any new information she absorbs. And my challenge is, Sophie, that's not true. Where did you hear that, Sophie? No, you need to check and make sure that that's accurate. So the challenge with children is they're like sponges, they absorb everything. You need to structure that they're learning the right things and learning things properly. Adults are not like sponges, they're like bricks. Okay? It's hard to get information in. A lot of it gets filtered out because of pre-existing beliefs.
Right.
No, that's not true. I heard this other thing. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. Yes, I know the definition, the pop culture definition of insanity. You know, you keep doing the same thing, hoping for a different result. But I want to change, but I'm going to keep believing what I believe. And the challenge is getting new information. The biggest challenge is getting new information in. Part of that is adults, it's hard for them to remember new information. And our brains, human brains, are very good at getting a lot of information in, but we're not designed to store information. So most of what we observe, see, do, hear, smell during the day, we forget the next day, right? I know I do. So we forget about 70% of what we learn if we don't review it and take notes. If you're an adult and you haven't been practicing memory, remembering things, it gets more difficult. So we have a great tool, which is this book, which you can't see on air, obviously, but our students get a copy of this, and it's the poems, prayers, and speeches that we all grow up learning.
Oh, I love that.
And it starts out with Jack be nimble, and then Humpty Dumpty, things that everybody learned as children. We'll give this one to Ron again.
Ron needs 2 copies.
Okay.
One for each side of his brain.
I remember in stereo.
So we start out with the simple things, and the interesting thing, like let's say this little pig on page 8. Everybody remembers this little pig when they start, but they remember it wrong. The way we learn it as a kid is not right. For example, piggy. It's not this little piggy. It's this little pig. And so on Fridays, we do a hangout on air at 1:30 in the afternoon where everybody gets to recite on YouTube for the rest of the world the stuff we memorize and learn. And so we do this little pig, and it's everybody thinks they remember it. They've had a week to memorize it. We get up there, and then it's this little piggy cut. It's not piggy, it's pig. And it's hard for them to know new information, but they remember the way they learned it when they were 2 or 3. So we start with this book. Everybody gets a copy once they memorize the first one. And we have some of our, like on page 24, we put in the book some of our organizations that support us and we support. And we get up to, every week we do a new one. This week we did the Star Spangled Banner. Now most people sort of know, I think that's on page 71.
The first verse.
The first verse. But very few people know the second and third verse. I mean, even know that there was a second and third
Exactly.
verse.
Most people would not even be aware that there was more than the first.
Exactly. So our students memorize it, get up, and then they're on air, and they recite it. Other ones that we do, Hamlet's Soliloquy we did, Charge of the Light Brigade.
Wow.
And it's repetition, so it's immersive. A school... Jabberwocky we did. And that, of course, was a lot of fun because that's words that don't really have much meaning.
Well, I got to tell you, Dodie, when she learned Jabberwocky, she was insistent in one of our groups back at home at campus that she was going to recite that for us. And I thought to myself, well, that's easy because nobody knows what it is anyhow. So,
Nobody's going to call foul.
Yeah, she just kind of and she sat up in her chair and she began the recitation of Jabberwocky.
Twas brilliant and the slithy toad.
And she made every syllable just reek with meaning for her, you know?
Sure.
And drew us in. And she was so proud that she had done that.
And I think, Ron, that's exactly the point of what happens with this book and with adults is, first, when people get to school and they can't type, you know, as adults, we don't like to look dumb and stupid. We don't want to fail because we're adults. We're supposed to do things right. And then when you get into it, there is a real sense of pride and accomplishment because it's not just what you know, it's what you can communicate, especially when it comes to a job. Employers want to make money or save money, and they want employees who can do that for them. If you have an employee who can't communicate, it's tough as an employer.
Sure.
And so our school, our school is not about education. We're a career school. It's about placement. We have to give people the skills that they need to become placed. And the students that we work with that are functionally at a third grade level, reading, writing, and math, it's hard for them to get a job, stable and meaningful employment, because they don't have the skills of, the hard skills, typing, Microsoft Office, the internet. They don't have those skills, but they don't have the other skills, which is the ability to communicate and learn. So our whole curriculum is designed to be autodidactic, to teach people to learn. For example, why is that important? Well, Microsoft Office, this thing called the internet is changing all the time. Microsoft Office comes out with a new version every year. If you're functionally at a third grade level, if you didn't graduate from high school, your education experience was there was a teacher in front of the room teaching you, right? When you get to college, now the professors expect you to learn. Here's the assignment. You need to act like an adult. Well, our students never got to that stage, right. Most of them. And so their expectation is, their frame of reference is, I want to learn this. You need to teach me. So another thing that we really focus on and have worked 25 years to develop is a curriculum that teaches people to teach themselves.
I love it. So this is a basis for that.
This is a basis for that. We also have the students write a 4,000-word paper on a famous person who's overcome adversity. Scott is doing it on the founder of the Salvation Army Church. And the idea is you see other people who have overcome adversity, and you figure out, you know what, my life isn't that bad, really. People understand, for example, my favorite is Abraham Lincoln, who, when he was growing up, his father rented him out as a slave to the neighbors to do their work.
Right.
And was totally down on education. Everything Abraham Lincoln learned, he was basically self-taught. He didn't get to go to law school. He didn't get to go to any other school, just a few lessons in.
And that's not even counting that every election he ran in, he lost until the presidency in 1860.
He had, I think it was like 12 losses.
Yeah.
Going through, but he used his adversity to propel him and give him the strength that he needed. And a lot of historians will say, if it was not Lincoln as the president back during the Civil War, things would have been much different because he had that overcoming adversity.
Right.
And one of the great things about our students is they have experienced adversity. And when we're talking to employers, we're talking about, hey, these are people who have real world experiences. They can understand when you put them in a role with customers, they can understand. They've overcome adversity. They're motivated. Our students are motivated. You get somebody who's just out of college or high school, they don't have real world experience, they don't know, and you don't know what they're going to do.
Well, all right.
That's exciting.
Boy, if that hasn't primed your pump this morning, go get your second cup of coffee, grab your mobile phone.
Write down this number, 702-221-7283. Call us on the other side of our break and join the conversation.
And make sure you want to ask a question of Sherry, because we want to hear from her.
Sherry's hiding over there.
I'm here.
Well, am I going the right direction?
Yes.
You need you guys talk closer to the mic.
Yeah.
I
Your
keep
voice is
pushing it
very
at you,
slow.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
not gonna
Hello
work.
there.
Yeah.
That's it. You
You
gotta
should.
eat the microphone.
Similance. Is that better?
Eat the microphone.
Is that better?
Yes.
What?
I don't see Canterbury Tales in here.
Yes, you're right.
One that abril with the sure sort of a draft of March a Thursday to the Rosa. That's all. I think that's all I remember.
Are you familiar with the ETPL?
Is that a personality?
It's the Nevada Eligible Trainers Provider List.
No.
Okay. So.
Is that something we want to talk about?
Well, I'm not on air, but
Oh, okay.
we give this book to all the students. It's just an aside story.
Right.
And we are approved by the state of Nevada as a licensed school, but to get funded from agencies like FIT, we have to be on this list. So we have to give them our license and some things, and the books that we have. They did not allow us to have this book. And I think it's because there are prayers in it.
Oh, FIT?
No,
not FIT, the ATPL.
right. It's the Workforce
The
Connections.
state. Oh, okay.
That group. They have that list.
So we have the Lord's Prayer. There's about 3 or 4 things in here from the Bible. And that's not what they said. But there was another book they wouldn't let us do either called Beatitudes in the Workplace, which is about honesty, wisdom. It's not the Beatitudes.
Right.
But it's
It's
wisdom,
about,
honesty,
So it's an
integrity.
ethics book.
It is
It is.
ethics in the workplace.
But because of the word Beatitudes,
So if you called it ethics in the workplace, you probably
Well,
wouldn't
probably
be able to do
would.
it.
yeah, maybe.
except the author is a Jesuit
Jesuit
priest.
priest.
Right.
So
Wow.
that might have been something
Wow.
also.
Just another.
What would you
example.
like me to talk about?
It's
Yeah.
going great. It really is. It's very interesting.
Where do you get your funding? Because all our guys.
On
it's not-
scholarship.
Yeah. So.
Well, we have 2 campuses in California. So for the since November when we started, everybody's on scholarship, and our campuses in California, where all of the students do pay, subsidize what we're doing here. Once we got our final license in May, now we can charge tuition, and we can be on the list, and there's federal, state, local money for vocational retraining. So that's where this ETPL comes in. You have to be on that list.
Do you fit into Workforce Connections program? Are you
That's what that is.
Okay.
They're the ones that have that
do
list.
ETL or the?
Correct.
Okay.
And they're the
We
ones
just
that
got a grant from them for the first time.
We are talking to Sylvia. Sherry's talking to Sylvia, right?
correct.
About,
Doing a piece of that.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, because we got, and it's kind of exciting because we're also looking to reach out to others besides just those homeless that we're housing.
Yeah.
Some of the other people we serve through family services, perhaps, that, have a house they live in, but are unemployed or underemployed.
Right.
And need to be retrained. So,
Exactly.
I think if there is a way for the school, the courts, organizations like Salvation Army to get together, we can go get private donations. We can't do it on our own because we're just a school. And but it's a very compelling story to say, here are people that are being sentenced not to go to jail, but to go get educated. And the challenge is they need stable food, clothing, and shelter. The place they go right now mainly is they end up at like Siegel Suites. And that, when you have a bunch of people who were in prison getting out, there's no structure. If we can somehow figure out how to do something, we can go to people.
Mary, you? You got me, Mary. Hold on, okay? Say anything. I have Marion on the line.
Marion.
Marion.
Love our Marion. I don't think she's come to you guys, has she?
Our Marion? Marion?
Welcome back. This has been stimulating. I want to be stimulated some more, so stay with us. If you have a a thought or a question or anything like that, call us at 702-221-7283. And
You're listening to Ron Rogers,
and
Leslie Rogers, and Ed Bevilacqua from Larson Training Centers. Thank you. I always want to say Academy. It's not. It's for grown-ups. It's Centers. Larson Training Centers. And a wonderful friend of Ron's and mine is on the line, I understand. Miss Marion, are you there?
hi,
Good
Marion.
morning.
Good morning.
Do you have a question for us or for Ed or a comment? What? I love that. What's your favorite thing about Larson? Has there been an aha moment during your studies there? I love that. So what was your favorite thing out of Remember This so far? You hated it. Of course. Of course. But you're cheating because you knew that one already. You're so cute. That's fantastic. Thank you, darling, for giving us a call and for giving them a shout out and telling everybody how much you appreciate Ed and Sherry and Larson and what they're doing for you. How much longer do you have?
Marion has part-time work, and Marion, good morning, Marion, is very diligent about her employment plan. And so, Marion, I think you spend about 4 or 5 hours a day at school typically, Marion? Yeah, no, at school. Some days she has work. Yeah, so Marion has work, so it's not clear how many hours she has. As our state license, our program is 520 hours. So
right.
We have to keep track. It's not like you go to UNLV, you register and you pass.
Yours is as long as it takes for you to get it done, you get it done.
In that amount of hours.
And they have to do 520 hours of documented being there.
So if you're working or you're out diligently seeking employment, it just takes you a little bit longer to finish Larson.
Yeah.
Which is fine, right, Marion? Fantastic. We're proud of you, girlfriend.
God bless you,
Bye,
Marion.
You know who's like that also is Scott.
Yeah.
He works at Walmart and comes to school, and sometimes he just can't make it through the day. You know, his forehead is bouncing off the computer monitor.
Poor baby.
But he doesn't give up.
So he doesn't do that just in chapel.
Okay.
Brian also works. Brian,
another student who's not Salvation Army,
right.
Is on his own, and I'm not sure, how did he find out about the school?
I can't
Maybe
recall
from,
this one.
the downtown project. Tony Shea has a group. Meredith Spriggs runs she's in part of the Downtown Rangers.
Right, and we know them too. We did the census with them.
Oh, really? You know Meredith?
Census, yeah.
Gosh, Meredith is great. You know, one thing is, if you have money and you're willing to spend it, like Tony Shea, you attract really very high-level people. Meredith Spriggs. Do you know David Gould the learning at the
Window.
at the window.
No.
He's a professor at the University of Iowa, and Tony brought him out here to help study and do some work on how do cities learn. And a lot of extremely high-level people who have ideas. They're creative. Meredith Spriggs is probably doing more, or will be doing more, is and will be doing even more for homeless people than anybody like Tony Shea has had done before. And he can set as much of his own rules.
That's right. Well, and that population whom we serve happily, most people just don't want to see them.
Yeah.
And so when you have someone like Meredith and like the Rangers and that whole organization that is designed to be certain that even though they're homeless, they still are served and recognized, and you look them square in the eye and you realize their value. God made them. God don't make junk. So everyone does have value, and homeless or not,
Yeah. Well,
deserve,
Right, some of her clients are coming to school.
yeah. Meredith sends clients to the school. We know that she's involved with Salvation Army and doing things. I don't know to what extent, but for the school, we try to be very clear, like as opposed to Hope for Prisoners and some of these other things. We teach the hard skills.
Right.
We try to also teach people to communicate and be autodidactic. But most of the challenge is getting people to believe in themselves. And going back to your question, Ron, about kids versus adults, teaching, or Leslie, how is it different, kids and adults? Well, kids, I think, start out believing in themselves. When you are an adult who has gone through adversity, sometimes you start believing, I can't.
Well, you believe what everybody has been telling you.
And one of the great things about the students that we get from Salvation Army is when they come in, they believe they have a chance and that the school can help them if they put in the hard work. Now, not everybody can do it. I mean, we're not going to say everybody makes it. You have to be committed. But if you're not committed, you don't have a chance. If you come in believing I can't make it, you
right.
can't do it. And the Salvation Army is very good when people come in and talk about, we had chapel yesterday and we did this and we talked about that. And like Marion was saying, one of the things she likes is the TED Talks that we do at 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, the TED Talks don't work if people start out non-believing in anything. So John Ponder is great at the believing part. Another person, Tiger Todd.
Yes.
Hero School.
Yep.
So we're starting to do things with them. And on July 19th, they're going to be doing a Hero School in the Learning Village.
I love it. And is Kim Possible?
Kim
Yes.
Possible is, we're in communication with her. And, we're sort of the next step to what you do, what John Ponder does, what Hero School does. Now, of course, you do really the food, clothing, and shelter, and the believing part, the spiritual thing. Why am I here, and what is my purpose? And we just do the next layer, which is giving people the skills.
We're discovering something. I don't know if it was inherent in Tony Shea's thinking as he was noodling about what to do with downtown, but there's a great level of synergy that is developing between these kind of disparate forces, and that's so fun is to see how we can connect with each other, support each other, and work together toward a common goal, which is the well-being of the populace, and we all have a special role that we play, but we can work together. We don't have to fight with each other. We don't have to be turf conscious.
Right.
I love it that in a 48-hour period is when I met you guys and Tiger.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 48 hours. I felt like I got sucked into a hole of just
Well, but there was one other thing that you were involved in is we talked on the phone that day. That was Tuesday, 2 weeks ago.
Uh-huh.
But I met you at the downtown
At the
project at the window.
Yeah.
That thing that Meredith Spriggs did
Speed
at Tony, the speed dating.
Mhm.
Did you get a date that night, by the way?
We got several really, really good connections that we're following up on that will, again, expand that synergy, I think, and but also sources for volunteers and things like that. So it was what started out, I thought, as a dumb idea, turned out to be, amazingly enough, a really good idea, and I think we're going to see some real positive outcomes.
Yeah, I agree. And WestCare, do you work with WestCare?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's another organization that we are dealing with. And oh, I have another note here from Sherry.
She won't talk, but she
Yes,
sure does
right.
pass paper.
Another group is the VA.
Oh yeah, and we, of course, we have a veterans program, and although you are connected with Sylvia,
Uh-huh.
it would be a great idea also to reach out to the gentleman that oversees our vet services.
Oh yeah, we definitely need to do that
And-
because there are government programs through the VA.
Yes.
If you are in school, they will hire you.
Yes, and they've got, and they, I think, help with VRAP and all of those kinds of things.
Correct.
And
And frankly, right now, it's a whole lot sexier to help work
Vets.
with vets because it's been such a goat rope
Yeah.
with the veterans.
What does that
affairs.
mean, goat rope?
It's not working well.
Oh, okay.
And
It's-
I've never heard that term.
it's kind of like too much red tape. It's a goat
Oh,
rope.
okay.
It's just, you just can't get there from here.
and so and especially in that President Obama set a goal, which most people believe was absolutely unreachable, but we're moving toward it, of no more homeless vets by the end of 2015.
Wow.
We might, but so now the Congress is loosening up some purse strings, and so VA has got grant monies, and we're able to work more closely with the veterans, and we've got many men who are not homeless anymore.
Yeah.
In a kind of a transitional mode of moving forward to permanent housing, and getting them. So many of our guys that fought, especially in the first Gulf War and Iraq, Afghanistan, weren't even aware that there were benefits available to them. I don't know where their reps with Veterans Affairs were, or their recruiters, or what was going on, but they're not even aware.
Well, I agree with you. And in California, we work with the VA and voc rehab a lot. And I think part of the problem is there aren't enough people at the VA to help the veterans.
Yeah.
For example, one woman we work with, she is a caseworker for 6,000 vets.
Oh my gosh.
How,
Yeah.
if you spent a second with each of 6,000 people a month, you don't have enough time to spend 1 second.
6,000 on her caseload?
Yes.
That's not even.
And so I think it's this, and also the VA, right, wrong, or indifferent, I don't know, has for vets, they don't always want to turn to the VA first because they think it's going to be a goat rope.
Right.
New term I learned.
Right.
Dealing with them. But now speaking about employers, and for Larson, employers want to hire vets if they are qualified. Employers don't want to hire ex-felons, and that's kind of our sweet spot is helping ex-felons. And another program we're starting to work on that I think might be something the Salvation Army we would like to get you involved in is we work with the men's prison in town, but the women's prison is starting to do education before people get out. And we've been asked to participate, provide ideas, and maybe open a campus inside the women's prison.
Wow. Great idea.
And the idea is before they get out, they go to school, but you can't do internet in the prison. So, and everybody, John Collins, who we work with at the Department of Corrections, everybody agrees you can't get stable, meaningful employment today in an office environment if you don't know how to use the internet.
Right.
But they can't use the internet in prison.
Can they use it in a monitored situation?
No.
Not at
So
all.
we are coming up with ways to simulate enough of using the internet. And then what we proposed is then when they get out, then they come to Larson for 4 weeks instead of 16, because they've been doing it in prison for 16 weeks.
So you catch them like, do you start with them then 12 weeks before they're supposed to be
Correct.
released?
Well,
Or
we'd
some-
like to start 16 weeks, but maybe
Right.
12 weeks. And then for 4 weeks when they get out, now they get to actually do the cloud stuff on the cloud as opposed to on a simulation of the cloud.
Right.
And then the idea would be we have employers who want to take them for internships. And but the other challenge, from the way we look at it, is, well, when they get out,
Where are they?
where are they going? And to us, what you do, John Ponder, those organizations are getting people mentally prepared as opposed to, okay, you're out, go to school. That kind of doesn't always work because the harsh realities of life get in the way of your desire.
Yeah, the dope man finds you pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so, if you're interested, I think it would be good to introduce you to John Collins if you don't know him, and see if there is a way.
Well, that would be something that we would bring probably someone with a higher pay grade than me in on, or Ron. But that's a great conversation, and that's something I can bring up tomorrow or at least this week and see if we can have that
Okay, well, that would
conversation,
be great.
because we might even have some space on campus where that could work,
Could.
depending on funding and how we can pay for that.
So with us, I think the difference is a lot of organizations up until now, we're the only school licensed in the state of Nevada that focuses on this group of people. We are post-secondary, so we are a school for adults. And we're the only school that does what we do. And up until now, programs have been mainly designed for, we're going to teach you, we're going to help you write a resume, we're going to teach you how to interview, we're going to give you some clothing. And that works in positions where you don't need skills. Okay, like let's say working at McDonald's
Order in a hotel.
yeah,
Or
that works
or
there.
A security person or something.
The problem with that is those are short-term solutions. You can't, you're not going to be working at McDonald's till you're 70, and you're not going to be able to retire based upon your savings from working at McDonald's. That's a day-to-day subsistence. And so what we try to do, not what we try to do, what we do is our curriculum is designed to get you into positions where the older you are, the better you get. So say, for example, customer service. Having real-world experience in life is an asset if you're involved in customer service, right?
And when you do that well, you become a supervisor and a manager and all those things
Exactly.
that happen.
And you can get higher pay, and you can save money so when you retire, and then you feel good about yourself. So, we're trying to get the proverbial camel with its nose under the tent of arguing that education that teaches hard skills is vital for people. Getting them quick job is good, but it should be combined with continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the hard skills, it's being able to learn, it's being able to memorize things, it's going back, doing your multiplication tables, learning what fractions are, statistics, it's being able to write a paragraph, being able to write, and then having confidence.
Well, and that being able to learn or to teach yourself to
Yeah.
that didactic
Yeah.
piece. If you're going to advance in a job, you need to be able to look at a situation and see what don't I know that I need to know so I can move to there. Because where I am is okay, but I want to be there, but I don't know enough to get there. How can I make that happen?
Yeah, that's a great point. Now in California, our campuses are completely different than here. Most of our students in California are injured postal workers or TSA or veterans. And if you've
So
been,
it's like a voc rehab situation.
if you've been carrying a mail bag for 30 years and you got injured your union contract is they have to pay for this. Well, our challenge with those people is if you worked at the post office for 30 years, you've had every day for 30 years of saying, don't think. Just do what we tell you to do. And so we had to develop this autodidactic piece out of necessity because you can't survive in a real world environment where people are, today bosses are not wanting people who don't think. Most companies, they want people who can think and solve problems and take advantage of opportunities. And if you've been conditioned for 30 years, we don't want you to think, just do what we tell you to do. Don't turn left, just always turn right.
Interesting.
Eventually you'll get there.
So I have a question. Many of the people you will see that have come through our program may have, in fact, had a history of, I like to refer to them as pharmaceutical entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And other things. But they are very outside the box thinkers. Do they work better in your situation, or is it just it's a different kind of a difficulty to overcome?
It's a different kind of difficulty. What they need is structure because
Okay.
they've been so used to out of the box. I have an opportunity to do that. I've got to figure out how to get from here to there.
Right.
And I don't really care about whether
it's legal or not.
Exactly. Whether it conforms to the way people do things. So it's reining them in, and we're very structured. 8 o'clock.
Them.
We do TED Talks. At 9 o'clock, we do typing. At 9:30, we do Brain Rush. At 10 o'clock, we do have our cloud technology class. And at 11, we do Word. And it's the same thing every day. And people, the people that you're talking about, Leslie, they tend to think I can do what I want to do when I want to do it as long as I get it done.
It's a great conversation, and I want to continue it another time. So we'd love to have you back. Just
Thank you.
Really, really good. And I'm hoping that you can also connect with our vet services people and
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes, and
I will.
expand this so that you may be able to offer to them a lot of what we're doing through our vocational program with Sylvia. Do the same thing maybe with Nick and the caseworkers there, whose job it is to help these veterans not only get off the street and get into housing, but create a life for themselves after the service. And, some are disabled, some are just frustrated with the system.
Tired,
Broken, all those things. So, but that's something, again, that you're used to dealing with. So, Ed Bevilacqua.
Thank you.
Sherry, the silent one in the background that you all can't see, and she's adorable. I don't know why she doesn't want to be on here with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the program with us this morning. We hope to have you back. And Ronnie Rogers, it was a good Sunday morning.
This was fun.
This was great. I love it when we just ask a couple of questions and kind of like talking to Gracie Allen and you just talk. I love that.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Oh, it was fantastic. Have a very safe and sane week. We will see you back here, or hear you back here, or you'll hear us back here next Sunday morning on the Beat of Las Vegas.
At the Beat of Las Vegas.
At the Beat of Las Vegas.
We're out.
Thank you very much. Now, is there something? Huh?
I'm going to turn that off.
Yeah. Is there anything more we can do to help the Salvation Army?
I don't know. I'm going to give you Nick Lenderman's